Socketcluster with Nick Kotenberg. In this video, we're going to be learning about setting up Socketcluster. In the last video, we just went over some basic Node.js stuff, how to install Socketcluster, kind of boring for anyone who's actually done this stuff before. So in this video, we're actually going to get into the meat of the product. So when you first install Socketcluster, excuse me, and from npm, and you create a project, and real quick, once to show you how to do that again, you would install Socketcluster, npm install Socketcluster-g for globally, and then after it's done installing, you do Socketcluster create and the name of your app. You get this folder over here. I named mine SC1, so this is not part of it, but from SC1 you get a node modules, which has some pre-installed packages, node packages. I created the public folder. Doesn't actually come. Well, no, it does. I'm sorry. Excuse me. It does come with the default package. And then you get a README, what's called a broker, a server, a worker, and then your typical npm package.json, which is where you get all your dependencies and whatnot. Okay. So first off, with Socketcluster, just like with Cluster and Socket.io, it's kind of a combination of the two, and Socketcluster allows you to create an app that utilizes all the CPUs efficiently, and allows different processes to manage different things. So typically, how I use it is I use the broker to manage worker-to-worker communication, server to manage each worker, the startup process and each worker, and then the workers to do the actual requests and responses from requests from clients. So typically I don't start servers from the command line. I generally use environmental variables to control my system. So I'll remove this here. I'd remove all these references to command line arguments, like so. I like to use 3000 as my default port. Oops, unlock's not on. 3000 is my default port. Return insert off comma. Save that. Oops. Oh, I'll fix that in just a second. It's gonna freak out every time I save something. Okay, and then we'll just call it SE1. Right. Okay, and then this defines what your worker file is called and what your broker file is called. Also the channel limit and worker reboot on crash. I generally just do true for that. Okay, just a second here. Okay, let's fix that quick. It's asking, saying that I don't have permissions to save, so sudo change owner nick to SE1. Oops. -r recursively. Shouldn't do it anymore. Okay. So that's how I typically like to set up my server, and also I like to make the number of workers that spin up, make it dynamic based on the number of CPUs. So what I do is I do var CPUs equal to require os.cpus.length. Actually, let's do cpus.length, and then we change this to CPUs. Save. We can go to SC1 node server, and you'll see it counts the number of CPUs, which this is working on a VM. So I actually have an i7, so this would show 8 if you have an i7, but my virtual box is only giving 2 of the CPUs to the virtual box, which is why you only see 2 there. But that will be the number of CPUs that are being used for the workers, and then obviously there's one process for the broker, and then obviously one for the master here. And this is kind of your, and it'll give a identification ID to each worker and broker. Okay, so that's kind of what that does there. Also, I like to do things through environmental files. So let's create an environmental file now. We need to install the package for. There's different types of environmental packages. I like to use node-env file, but it's up to you what one you like. In this series, we'll use a node-env file. So that real quick. Should be just a second. My internet's been cutting in and out for some reason. It might take more in a second. Anyway, we'll skip past that and let it do its thing. So we need to instantiate that. So var So env equals require node env.file env. I'll go blah this later. Env. Oops, hold on. I'll do dot env. Oops. There we go. Dot env. So in this env file here, let's do a server port equals 3000. We'll grab this guy here. Do server port process.env.server port. We're good. Okay. So we can actually go into here and we can do like 3001 just to verify it's working. Do node server. Hold on. Let's see. .env. If that's how you do it. Yeah. And you'll see that we grab 3001 from your environmental file. You know that. So that's how you do that. Anyway, so there's kind of the server setup. Now you can do things like production environments. So you'd have like a HTTPS, SSL, whatnot, and I'll show you how to do that later. But that's kind of the basic setup I like to do with basic server. Okay, so the worker. So real quick, with Socketcluster, each worker can accept requests, which we get from here. Those are just standard HTTP requests. And also there's also socket connection requests, which are done here, right here. I don't like to use those defaults. I do client because it makes more sense to me. So that's how this basic worker processes requests. And this tells it to look in the public folder, which is here for an HTML file, which you'll see here. But I don't like to do it that way. We're going to use Jade instead. And so let's get rid of this stuff here. We'll get rid of this here. We'll create a new folder, JS, new file, socketcluster.js. We'll copy all this guy in here, like this. I'm just rearranging things real quick. You don't have to do this if you don't want. And then we'll create a views folder here, views. And here we'll create just a new file, index.jade. If you're not familiar with Jade, there's some really good tutorials online, or you can just go to Jade's website, which my internet's been slow lately. Jade-lang. Also, it's a virtual machine. It doesn't have my login, so it doesn't autocomplete for me, which is why I didn't have that. Anyway, so we'll just do doc type. We're going to do just a real quick, simple add oops, HTML, add body, and we are also missing the Jade. And you get the package. So we'll do Sublime package. Control this, like just a second. And this is the website for Jade, and it's just basically you'll see here is some typical HTML here. This is kind of the Jade way of doing it. It's just a templating engine, just like EJS, or if you're into like PHP and stuff, Blade for Laravel and things like that. Grab this. We'll do view. Oh, it's console. We'll save this for now. We'll go back to the worker while that's loading, and we'll do. I always forget. Let's see. For some reason, I always forget these guys here. So let's grab this guy here. Close down. And this tells the server to what folder. What folder to grab your HTML files out of, and then what engine you're using, which is Jade. And then also